Hello and welcome to your daily oracle reading for January 28th, 2019. It's Monday. I'm Linda the Lightworker. I'm really glad you're here with me today. You know, we've got some interesting cards today. And if you haven't watched the week ahead, I really encourage you to do so. I posted that several days ago, and it was all about romance for this week ahead, which I just kind of laugh off because it's just something that's been off the radar for my clients and for those who I know watch this channel. Like, it's just not been on the radar. So when I asked for today's card after a deep meditation and shuffling, this Lovers card came up, which was like, oh my gosh, what in the world is going on? Now, the beautiful thing about this Lovers card is that this can be the loving of yourself or of really parts of yourselves really coming together, right? You know, there are parts light and dark, our divine masculinity and our divine femininity. There are times we get split off into or overuse of one area has become too masculine, focusing on the operations of things and not being in enough divine femininity, or you know, what other parts of ourselves that we might have turned off or turned down. So this card is reminding us that it can also be about divine magnetic attraction. So I'm straight up saying, if you're on the market, you know, it might be a really great, you just might happen to run into someone at the grocery store, at the library, or post office, or wherever you are, like some sort of divine magnetic connection may be happening. It might unfold for you. Now, if you're focusing on your own self-worth, your self-repair, this is a time of accepting where you are and loving all these different parts of yourself, truly embracing. And I'm also encouraging those of you who are in long-term partnerships of deepening your relationship. You know, I recently heard a tale of a couple who had been together for 28 years, and it just kind of fell apart. It just kind of ended. And those things happen for sure. But it is about, when we make these choices, relationships are about allowing us to be on the same vibration and the same frequency as another, so that you can deepen your partnership and deepen your connection and continue to grow together. So notice where you're spending your energy, and if you are putting in that sort of appreciation of your relationship and of your partner and what you bring to each other. So it's a great time to really deepen our relationship with our loved ones. And then, of course, I asked Denis, Linn, I said, well, can you shed a little bit more insight on that? And this is really coming up, this desert passage, which I know we've had this card recently. It says, trust there's a divine plan. So I'm listening. And Spirit's saying there's a difference between instinct and intuition. So it may be your pattern to run towards another, especially for my singles or those who get crushes. Who doesn't get a crush? It's easy for us to repeat the same scenario with the same type of person over and over again, right? We've all done that, and one time and another. And so sometimes to end that process, we end all relationships with others. We just focus on ourselves. So if you have been in a solitary role, or if you have been feeling isolation from your partner and you're not connecting in a deeper way or the way that you really want to, trust that there's a divine plan and still head towards the light and go with gentleness as we reclaim these parts of ourselves that might be missing since we've been in this little desert of an area. I'm just listening. I feel like there's something else that needs to come out around this. But it is about, oh yes, about the difference between the instinct versus intuition. So intuition is from spirit, from the divine center, from that seventh chakra sixth chakra, or wherever we receive it, confirmation in the gut, you know, where it's coming from. It's from outside of ourselves. Instinct is like when you are just rushing because you just run on impulse because you genetically know that that's something you need to do. So really notice the difference and what your behavior is. Am I acting on instinct or am I responding with intuition? And really pay attention. And if you're like many people who are really deepening and wanting to have a relationship that is much deeper, especially spiritually, because when we have that connection and we can have confirmation with that person so close to us and have that spiritual connection, it allows us to go even deeper in our relationship. So if there has been a bit of a dry spell on that, trust that there is a divine plan and that spirit is guiding you both in the right direction. So this is a real big lesson coming through in relationships. So when I asked for the divine action from the watercolor deck, it says know your value. And what's important about knowing your value is about having a healthy self-esteem and remembering what you bring to the table. I know so many of us are givers and stay in such a beautiful place of humility when we receive from others. But remember your value too. And nothing is more attractive than confidence, right? So there's this healthy balance of confidence that comes from this third chakra area versus the arrogance that might come from the ego-centered area. So there's just a quiet strength in confidence, knowing that, well, you're moving on the right path and trusting and just really being in your faith and understanding that there is a divine plan at hand, and really believing that and knowing that, trusting your intuition. Go with your intuition, go with your gut, and do your best to stay as present as possible. Yeah. Oh, I know. Some days it's really tricky, but all we have to do is get through today. We're just doing this one day at a time, and I am so grateful that you stopped by. And I hope you know how wonderful I feel knowing that you're receiving some kind of value from these videos. And I really love this small and mighty following, and I just hope you know how much I really appreciate your comments, your feedback, your thoughts, your emails, and I'm just really grateful that we're able to spend each morning together or whenever we find the time to stay focused, stay on our divine path, stay as positive as possible, and remembering to take care of ourselves along the way, all the while allowing spirit to let things just unfold as they're going to unfold. Okay, I love you, and I'm going to see you next time. Have a great day.